Welcome back to Wash Talk, everyone, the Carwash Podcast. I'm your host, Rich DiPaolo, and joining me today is Brian Krusz, co-founder and director of growth and development at Sargent Clean Car Wash. Welcome to Wash Talk, Brian.
Hey, thanks, Rich. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So, Brian, you were recently featured again, I should say, in the November 2023 issue of Professional Car Washing and Detailing magazine. We actually had a special section celebrating Veterans Day coming up here and honoring military veterans who also work in the car wash industry. And we asked for people to nominate their favorite car wash vet, and you received not only one submission, but you received two submissions from two different people. So only one on the in the special section for that. And as I let you know, Brian, you also made PC&D history by being on the cover of our magazine 2 times in 1 year. So certainly what a month for you, right?
Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Rich.
So as we land in the special section that we have in our November issue, and anyone who wants to go and read that issue can go on carwash.com and view our archives. But as we learned in your profile that we did on you, Brian, that you served in the Marines, right? So what did serving in the military and specifically in the Marines mean to you?
It was awesome. You know, I had a really good experience, and a couple of times I've mentioned about my grandfather. And growing up, he was an entrepreneur. He was in the Air Force for a couple of years, and he often asked me, "When have you paid your community rent?" And growing up, I'm like, "Whatever, Grandpa, just give me my paycheck and let me get out of here." But I think it clicked as I got older. He ended up passing away, unfortunately, in early year in my high school. I think it was about a freshman or sophomore. And when I was making the transition my senior year, I thought, wow, you know, his message was impactful. And one of my best friends' grandfather was in the Marines. And he said, "Brian, you could be 80 and go to college. You can't be 80 and join the Marines." So that's kind of how it all started, from, you know, these old individuals with tons of wisdom that, you know, provided good, you know, mentorship over me. And I loved every second of it. You know, being in the Marines, the rite of passage from boot camp, obviously that was tough and difficult, but serving 8 years in the Marines as, yes, a bond builder, but also as a recruiter, just a strong sense of belonging, strong sense of accomplishment, and just a lot of confidence, a lot of pride.
I understand that you also make it a point to hire and mentor veterans, and you've even encouraged some Sargent Clean Car Wash workers to join the armed forces. Why is mentoring vets and young people in this fashion so important to you?
Reciprocity. You know, I am a blessed man sitting in front of you, Rich, and it's just been so many people have taken time in their lives to spend time with me, to mentor me, to help me. And I want to reciprocate that. You know, veterans face unique challenges, you know, when they're exiting. Fortunately for me, it was a little bit easier. On the tail end of my 8-year career in the Marines, I was a recruiter, so I was a little more acclimated in civilian life, if you will. But tough transitions from, you know, military life, very regimented, you know, T's crossed, I's dotted, over to the civilian life, which is a little more casual. You know, job market, that's different. I was a bomb builder in the Marines. There's not a lot of bomb builders in Ohio, let alone United States. So kind of figuring out which job skills work best for you and making that transition is difficult. You know, the lifestyle is difficult. And I think, to me, helping those individuals out, I'm relatable. I've been there, done that. I'm able to help and mentor them, provide, you know, guiding light, you know, even if it's through like the youth mentorship, you know, just going through crucial stages in their life and their development in order to help them. And it's important to develop those relationships and to help those veterans who've served our country from all walks of life and all services.
So is it something like discipline or life lessons? What do you, as you're recruiting and telling these folks to get into the military, what most can they achieve out of their service in the military?
You know, I think the men and women that I've helped enter, the military. I talked about, you and I talked about some of the individuals that have, worked at Sergeant Clean and then said, hey, what else can I do with my life? Help them into the Air Force, into the Navy. And I think it's just for those individuals who don't really know what they want to do with their life, it's a fantastic foundation. You're going to get, the tangibles, right? Steady paycheck, good benefits, travel and see the world. I often tell everybody volunteer, volunteer, and volunteer. For 8 years, I rose my hand for everything. My mom probably hated that, but I rose my hand for everything and volunteered. And you get a vast background of experience that allows you to kind of take a step back, serve your country, do something that's it's remarkable, in itself, is paying back, for this great nation that you've served and that we get to be part of. What better sacrifice to spend 4 years or 8 years or, sometimes 20 years and retire? What greater service to give to your country that we all love so dear is to serve, and it gives the young men and women, kind of some foundation, some discipline, some skills, some marketable skills for when they exit the military at some point. And really, it's just providing, yes, discipline, a good foundation, and providing them a strong sense of pride and belonging, but then giving them, a path towards success, whether that's college after the military or a career. It provides a good foundation for them. And I'm happy to be helpful in a lot of those foundations early and then continuing.
Awesome. Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that volunteer work that you're so eager to give. So, in the profile that we included in our special section, we mentioned your involvement in an organization called 23rdveteran.org. Can you explain a little bit more about the background of that organization specifically and the role that you have played in it?
Yeah, so we were fortunate enough to win a Vet 50 award, and then it transitioned into Vet 100, which is the 100 fastest veteran growing organizations in the nation. Coincides with the Inc. 5000. And at one of these events, one of the early ones, there was a speaker. His name was Mike Waldron. And he was talking about, his struggles with trauma and PTSD and kind of transitioning from the Marine Corps to civilian life and how it affected him. And 22 veterans a day commit suicide. And this is a tough thing for me to think about. And when I was hearing his story and how he didn't want to be the 23rd veteran that day to commit suicide, and how he just took a step back and grabbed a hold of his life and said, hey, this is not going to be me. I'm going to, create this wonderful organization that helps veterans, provide a happier, healthier life coping with trauma, get to that place where they're comfortable, where they're happy. There's been tons and tons of success stories. Mike Waldron is the founder. I mentioned hearing his story and what he's done. I said, yeah, how do I get involved? Not when, just how do I do it? Let's go. And jumped on board, was a board member, and just, it was a fantastic, part of my life where I was able to serve a couple years and help veterans really, get to a happier, healthier life.
I also understand that you made a trip to Poland last year, if I'm not mistaken. It was when the Ukraine-Russian war broke out, and you made a trip over to Poland last year. So what was the impetus for that trip? What was your role, and how did that trip to Poland impact you specifically?
Yeah, Rich, it was life-changing. And I remember I'm a Rotarian in Strongsville, so I've been a Rotarian close for a decade. And the Strongsville Rotary, like anybody, we were just saying, what can we do? We're passing the hat and kind of raise money. And we're thinking of, how do we send supplies and do this? And it was, there wasn't the, hey, Ukraine is going to war playbook you just grabbed off the shelf. So it was just, willy-nilly and hodgepodge of different things and ideas. And we live very close to a very Ukrainian centric Polish community called Parma. So I reached out to the mayor and just had some earlier conversations. And I remember it just kind of hit me at a Rotary meeting, and I was sitting next to a friend of mine named Pat Greco, who was a retired fireman in Strongsville. And we just kind of looked at each other, like, just without words, and said, let's go over there. Let's be the people who can go over there and make sure that, the cash that we bring physically goes to people in need, and medical supplies as well. So from that moment, I went home and kind of had a conversation with my wife and said, hey, this is what's on my heart, and I'm thinking about it. And long story short, I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks later, it was in April of 2022. We left for about 2 weeks for Poland, and we raised over $55,000. We partnered with Rotary groups over there in Poland that was taking in Ukrainian refugees. We were at bus stops, refugee camps and centers, and just helping. And I often talk about it as being just kind of the ambassadors of being present, and just listening. And there was language barriers. I know a little Polish, but it's mostly prayers and little small words and stuff like that, being raised in a Polish family. And it just was being present and being there and listen and playing with the kids, a lot of coloring and stuff and crayons and passing out candy and helping with luggage and just being there for these people in need. And I think for me, it just comes back to just being so grateful and thankful for the things that we have here in America. And it just took, it was, 10 days out of my life, but it was just impactful that I was able to stop what I'm doing, that there's more to life than, unfortunately washing cars. There's more to life than, joining the friends or family at an event or whatever. And it's just, I just felt impelled to do it, and a strong sense of pride of doing it. And it just was fantastic. Great experience. We teamed up with other Rotary organizations inside Poland, and we helped a lot of people, and it was great.
Yeah, sounds like an awesome trip for sure. Now, we talked a little bit about it during this interview, but for other car wash operators and owners out there who are interested, what is your advice? What are the best ways that they can support veterans today?
Yeah, well, immediately is Mark Curtis will like this as well, is get signed up on the Grace for Vets. It's a great thing that we do for veterans across the nation. Second would be, be curious, not judgmental. Walt Whitman said it best. And, we have an opportunity to hire veterans. We have an opportunity to listen to them and their story, whether that's just from a consumer, right? A customer comes in, they may have a hat or a sticker inside their car, listen to them, be appreciative, be thankful. We also offer a military discount, so maybe you offer, a certain military discount for them, or provide free car washes on Veterans Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July. But really, to go back to that is just thank them for their service. Take a team member to take a couple seconds out of the day or a minute to see a sticker or recognize a license plate and say, hey, we really appreciate you serving in the Army or serving in the Marine Corps. And then, they can also even maybe go one step further, is partner with different veteran organizations in their area, civic, organizations as well, VFW, AMVETS. These things are, nationwide, and ask them for help, right? They may have certain initiatives. They may have individuals that are transitioning out that are looking for work. And that's a great way to really serve and give back to your community, especially the veteran community.
Yeah, for sure. And that website for Grace for Vets is graceforvets.org. I know that that program has been growing significantly over the years, and basically it's car washes sign up and add their business to the website, and vets can find the local car wash where they can receive a free car wash on Veterans Day, right? So definitely a great program. Well, I thank you for your service in the military, Brian, and all these great things that you're doing to help vets. I appreciate you taking part in our November issue special section on vets and car washing, and thanks for being on our cover again. And I wish you all the best here moving forward.
Yeah, thank you, Rich. I appreciate you having me.